What if I told you that the thing you've been chasing your whole life has been chasing you too? These aren't just poetic words, they're a key. And this key unlocks a deeper truth about the most powerful and often most misunderstood force in a man's life, his own desire. We live in a world that tells us desire is an arrow, something we shoot outward, chasing what we want like a hunter after prey. But what if the great Persian poet Rumi was right? What if desire isn't an arrow at all, but a magnet? What if the force pulling you towards something is also the echo of something deep within you, calling you inward? Today, we're stepping into your inner mirror, the place where the truth about your desire is hidden. This is not a shallow talk about seduction tricks. This is about reclaiming control over your own life energy. From the time we are young, we're fed lies about male desire. Lies that keep us trapped, chasing satisfaction we never truly find. Let's uncover them one by one. The first lie, the biological lie. This lie tells you desire is nothing more than hormones and DNA pushing you to reproduce. You're just a sophisticated animal, a machine built to pass on genes. It says your desire has no deeper meaning. It's only the engine of procreation. The second lie. The social and cultural lie society takes that biological drive and turns it into a status game. A real man, they say, has a big appetite and a record of many conquests. Masculinity becomes a scoreboard, intimacy becomes a sport, and women are turned into trophies. If you don't meet the quota, you're seen as less of a man, maybe a good guy, but not truly successful. The third lie, the digital lie. In today's world, the internet has completed the destruction of real intimacy. Endless adult content strips desire of emotion, soul, and human connection. It trains your brain to seek constant novelty and extreme stimulation, dulling your sensitivity to the subtle beauty of real human closeness. Caught between these three lies, many men reach adulthood in deep confusion. They feel an immense hunger inside them, but are only offered three explanations. It's just biology. It's about social status. It's an itch to scratch. So they spend their lives chasing woman after woman, experience after experience, only to find that after brief relief, the emptiness comes back, stronger than before. They're trying to satisfy a thirst of the soul with salt water. This is where we must turn to the wisdom of great explorers of the human psyche. And few went as deep as Carl Gustav Jung. Jung understood something profound. Behind every physical impulse, every obsession, is a spiritual hunger, a longing of the soul to become whole. For Jung, libido wasn't just sexual energy, as Freud thought. It was the total life force, the energy behind all creativity, ambition, personal growth, and the search for meaning. The intense desire a man feels for a woman was, for Jung, one of the most powerful expressions of this energy. But it was almost never just about the surface attraction. Behind that urgency of the body, Jung saw three great hungers of the soul. The first, and most fundamental, is the hunger for connection, the deep longing for wholeness. As men, our culture trains us to develop our logical, rational, and competitive side, what Jung would call our logos. To achieve this, many of us have had to suppress or leave underdeveloped our other half, our emotional, intuitive, relational side, our soul. Jung called this inner feminine energy the anima. The anima is the archetype of the feminine that lives in the unconscious mind of every man. It is our bridge to the inner world, the source of our capacity for intimacy, creativity, and a deep connection with life itself. When this part of us is neglected, we feel incomplete, dry, and disconnected, as if the world has lost its color. Then one day, we meet a woman, and something powerful happens. A massive projection of our soul is cast upon her. Without realizing it, we place on her the weight of our own unlived inner life. She stops being just a woman. She becomes the embodiment of life, of emotion, of beauty, of the depth we feel we've been missing. The intense desire we feel to be physically close to her is actually a symbol. It is the physical expression of a much deeper longing, the longing of our fragmented self to unite with its missing half. It is the longing of logos to embrace anima, the longing of consciousness to connect with the soul. At its root, Sexual desire is often the desire for psychic union, to become complete. We are not just falling in love with her. We are falling in love with the promise of our own wholeness, reflected back to us in her eyes. 2. The hunger for recognition. The second great hunger is the longing to be seen. At the deepest archetypal level, a man yearns to be a hero. He longs to know that his life has meaning, that his strength serves a noble purpose, that his courage is noticed and admired. But in the modern world, this recognition can be hard to find. Work can feel alienating. Society can seem indifferent. And so, we often project this need onto the woman we desire. Winning her approval becomes our battlefield, the place where we try to prove our worth. The desire to be desired by her is not only physical, it is the desire to be seen. It is the wish for her gaze, the gaze of the feminine principle, to confirm our value as men. When she looks at us with admiration, we don't just feel attractive, we feel validated in our masculine essence. Her approval becomes the mirror in which we finally see the hero we have always longed to be. 3. The hunger for meaning. The third hunger is perhaps the deepest of all, the longing for meaning, for transcendence. Human beings have an inborn need to connect with something greater than their small, individual self. Desire, love in its most powerful form, is one of the most transcendent experiences a human being can have. It pulls us out of our self-centered world, forces us to value another person as much, or even more, than ourselves, and often, it breaks our hearts. As the poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." In the intensity of desire and love, we get a glimpse of something greater, the possibility of a life beyond the limits of our small self. The philosopher Plato, in his dialogue, The Banquet, described love as a ladder. We begin by desiring a beautiful body. If we follow this desire wisely, it can lead us to desire a beautiful soul, then the beauty of ideas, and finally, beauty itself, the divine. From this perspective, physical desire is just the first step on a sacred journey. What we often reduce to a mere physical urge is actually the symbolic language of our soul, the cry of our being for wholeness, recognition, and transcendence. In essence, desire is a spiritual impulse. The prison of desire, the danger of handing fire to the dragon. This sacred fire, this life energy, is immensely powerful. Like any great force, it can create or it can destroy. It can awaken you or it can imprison you. The difference lies in who or what you give this energy to. If you give it to the wrong woman, you may lose not only control, but yourself. And who is the wrong woman? This is not about morality. She may not be a bad person. From a psychological point of view, the wrong woman is someone who, because of her own wounds, immaturity, or personal motives, cannot, or will not, reciprocate the depth of your search. Instead of walking with you toward wholeness, she becomes an obstacle, a black hole that drains your life energy. Archetypes of destructive desire. 1. The energy vampire. This is the woman who feeds on your devotion. She loves being the center of your world, being adored, and being the object of your obsessive desire. But she has no intention of returning that depth. She uses your energy to inflate her ego but keeps you at an emotional distance, leaving you in a constant state of longing. The more you give, the emptier you feel. 2. The symbolic devouring mother. This is the woman attracted to your vulnerability and neediness. Instead of inspiring you to grow stronger, she encourages your dependence. She becomes your caregiver, your manager, your decision maker. If you are unconsciously seeking the unconditional love of a mother, this can feel comfortable, but the cost is your masculinity and independence. You stop being her lover and become her child. This dynamic kills passion and traps you in perpetual emotional childhood. 3. The bearer of chaos. This woman, because of her unresolved wounds and traumas, lives in constant drama. Her life is a roller coaster of crises, conflicts, and emotional storms. Your desire to save her, to bring order to her chaos, pulls you into her whirlwind. You become her rescuer, her therapist, her firefighter, and all your vital energy is poured into managing her storms. All that passion you could use to build your own kingdom is instead wasted putting out the fires of someone else's inner chaos. When your desire gets trapped in these patterns, it becomes your prison. You're no longer drawn to her as a person. You're addicted to the intense cycle of hope and disappointment. Your life starts to revolve entirely around it. You abandon your projects, drift away from your friends, and neglect your health. Your mission in life stops being about your own growth and becomes an obsession with fixing, achieving, or understanding her. In the process, the man you once were, with purpose and inner strength, fades away. You turn into a shadow orbiting a light that burns you instead of guiding you. So, if this energy is so powerful and dangerous, what should we do? Should we repress it? Should we kill our own desire like the ascetics of the past? No. Repression only makes this force stronger and more destructive in the unconscious. The real path is not repression, it's transformation. This is the way of the alchemist. The alchemist never hated lead. He saw its potential to become gold. Our raw desire is the lead. As conscious men, our duty is to transform that lead into the gold of creativity, purpose, and wisdom. Step 1. Strategic retreat. The first step in freeing yourself from any dependency is to cut off the supply. If you feel trapped in an obsession and drained by a person or situation that weakens you, you must make a strategic retreat. This means creating a period of no contact or minimal contact. This isn't a game to punish her or seem mysterious, it's an act of self-preservation. You need this silence so the noise of obsession can fade and you can hear your own voice again. It's a kind of neurological detox, allowing your brain's dopamine balance to reset. In this context, solitude isn't emptiness, it's your sanctuary, the place where you can regain your strength. Step 2. Deep inquiry. Once you have space, don't just react to desire. Become the detective of your own soul. When you feel a strong longing, stop and ask, what am I really craving? What hunger lies beneath this hunger? If it's a hunger for connection, maybe you don't truly need her body. You need to break isolation. The solution is not chasing her, but joining a group, a club, or a community where you feel accepted. If it's a hunger for recognition, maybe you want to feel valuable or accomplished. The answer isn't her applause, it's doing something you can be proud of. Work on your craft, your business, or your skills until you become the man you admire. If it's a hunger for meaning, maybe you feel an existential void. Don't wait for a woman to give your life meaning. Embark on your own spiritual journey. Read, meditate, spend time in nature, and connect with something higher. Step 3. Alchemical transmutation. Now take that raw sexual energy and consciously channel it into higher purposes. Freud called this sublimation, redirecting the fire. Don't repress or waste it on obsession. Pour it into your art, your work, your mission. Write, build, compose, create. History's greatest works often came from this transformed desire. Use it to build your legacy. The man who does this stops being a slave to his desire, he becomes the master of his sacred fire. From dismantling lies about male desire to discovering its spiritual core and finally learning the art of transforming it, this journey shapes a new archetype, the sovereign lover. The sovereign lover doesn't repress desire, he honors it as sacred, but he controls it. He fulfills his need for connection, recognition, and meaning from within. He can approach a woman with passion, yet his happiness doesn't depend on her. His love is no longer a need, it's a gift. This is the awakening, freedom from emotional dependence, the shift from being consumed by desire to creating with it. Now, the mirror is in your hands. In the comments, share which hunger, connection, recognition, or meaning you have felt most strongly and how you've learned to fulfill it from within. If you've read this far, write the word soul in your comment, our symbol of honoring the true purpose of our deepest desires. If this spoke to you, support the channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing so more men can hear this message. Remember, your desire is not your enemy. It's your greatest power if you learn how to channel it. Until next time, may you become the master of your own fire.